it must not be my wife doesn't like that you. No, it's like I don't like that you talk to my wife this way.
There are in-laws, parents-in-law who will be kind of like over to the side talking to their own child, trying to like manipulate the decisions within the marriage.
Get them to do things.
Yeah, get them to do things. Exactly. Like that kind of behavior has no place in in-law relationships. It's not healthy for your in-law.
You can't talk about your wife anyway to your parents and expect them to come to your home and do the opposite of the character that you portrayed.
Welcome to another episode of Called to Marriage. I'm Marcia.
And I'm Thomas.
And today we're talking about the things we love about our in-laws. Yes, we are not experts at this, especially speaking for myself. Actually, Thomas, I would put you at expert level in dealing with in-laws.
Why?
Because you just have the level of respect, patience, tact, mixed with also...
That's a lot.
Yes, but also mixed with still protecting, you don't do things just to appease the in-laws. You are respectful toward them, but at the same time, you're in a like strong agreement with me. You never leave me hanging just to make yourself look good at, in front of my parents or something like that.
I'll take that as compliment and
yes,
feedback.
Take it as a compliment. Now, me, on the other hand, that's why I would rather talk about the things that our in-laws do well so that... And you know why else, though? Because it's not like I've been such a terrible in-law, please. But I know that I've made mistakes.
Why are you talking about yourself?
Well, I've got my shortcomings. But also, I think it's really important for... I don't know how many older people are watching this, but if you have a child who is getting married, this podcast might be for you.
That's true.
Listen carefully. If you know somebody whose child is getting married, yes, and you know, the way they're behaving is kind of not too on point, just send them our podcast. Anyway, no. Okay. So, all right, let's get started. So the scripture today comes from Ruth chapter 1, verses 16 and 17. So it's a popular scripture. Ruth said to her mother-in-law Naomi, "Entreat me not to leave you or to turn back from following after you. Wherever you go, I will go, and wherever you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. The Lord do so to me, and more also, if anything but death parts you and me." Amen.
Amen.
Of course, we chose this scripture because it illustrates the depth of relationship that a mother-in-law could potentially have with her daughter-in-law, or that in-laws can have with one another. By the way, a little backstory, if you don't know the story, without going into all the details, but Naomi was married. She had 2 sons. Her 2 sons one married Ruth, the other one married Orpah. But the Naomi's husband dies. Subsequently, Orpah and Ruth's husbands die, which are Naomi's two sons. They both die. And so Naomi is left with her daughters-in-law, everybody widowed. So they're trying to figure out where to go. And Naomi's like, just go back home to your parents and start over, marry other men, whatever, move on with your life. And they're like, nope, not going anywhere.
Ruth.
So Right, especially Ruth, but even
Upper left.
Orpah you could tell she also had a very close relationship with her. She didn't leave immediately. She
Yeah.
wept, she was sad. Well, some people might argue we don't know the intentions of her heart. You know, some people just show you that they're sad. It's like the person who's
But deep within, you're like,
extra thirsty. You can they come to your house and you offer them water and they say, no. You have to insist for you to see what they really want. So maybe
terrible flashback.
Would you like to share?
No, I'm not.
So who knows? You can argue maybe Orpah really was dying to go, but she should just show that one last little bit of respect, like
she has to get deep
she had to insist one good time, and then
inside. At last, I'm free.
Anyway, so, but
yeah, that's a nice story.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And I think it's highly aspirational. Just to have that level of relationship to where you feel like your in-laws are your actual parents and you just have a level of closeness with them.
Commitment.
Yes, and also commitment as well.
Those were some heavy words she said there, there's a lot to unpack in this little passage. How all the things she mentioned, like your people shall be my people. Where you die, that's where I'll die, and I'll be buried there. Your God, most especially your God, shall be my God. That's impressive. That's exactly what happens when we get married. We say that I am willing to respect your God. I am willing to bow down to what you bow down to and who you bow down to. I'm willing to revere your God. Those are some really heavy things. Like, she wasn't holding anything back. Like, I'm all for this. I married into this family, and it's more than just marrying the man. Even though the man was no more, she still held on to that commitment. And it's beautiful when we have that in marriage. So can you imagine her husband being alive and how she would, grow with her husband in their marriage? Because she had so much respect for her husband's people. She had so much respect. She wasn't Jewish, but because of her commitment, we know that God used her to birth people who gave birth to people who then gave birth to Jesus. Oh yeah, because she ended up marrying Boaz. Yeah.
Yes. So, and just when you get married, your family becomes my family.
Absolutely.
There's just no avoiding it. Our families are going to interact with each other. We're going to interact with each other's families. And so there has to be a level of definitely respect and, hopefully relationship, amicability. Is that a word?
Yeah.
Yes. Meaning, being friendly toward one another, hospitable, etc.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I was going to say, before we,
dive into,
I was going to say that's a really good point. When you get married, you're not just marrying an individual. So there are two sides. On one hand, you want to leave your home and cleave to your spouse, and that's good. You need to do that. But at the same time, if you understand that very well and you're able to leave and cleave, you also come to understand that you are marrying into a people. You are marrying into a family. Mm-hmm. In some cases, maybe you're even marrying into a race. Mm-hmm. So my wife's family is Haitian. It just changes everything I do with Haitians. Like when I meet another Haitian outside somewhere, I go in with that. I can't even help. Like, you're Haitian, I'm happy to meet you. I'm happy to talk with you. And I've worked with Haitians in my previous jobs, and I can tell that There's something special about this. Just because you're Haitians, I feel like, yeah, you're my wife's people. It doesn't mean they're good or bad. It's just they're Haitians. So maybe, you're married, you're white, you're married to a black person, or you're black, you're married to a white person. It affects how you treat white people. And that's the beauty of marriage.
How
Like,
you relate to them
right, how
particularly.
you relate to them. Right, right. And it's beautiful because it's built into marriage, and it makes, I guess it makes for tranquility, like, if I can use that word, um in relating to people in that way, people from the race that you're married in, people from the people group that you're married in, the family. It's I think it's beautiful. It's there's an element of a godly character in there that marriage is able to make you. It gives you the strength to tolerate, and also it gives you the strength to just love people, just love them, just because you have an attachment to them. I'm stretching it, but I I just like it. I like that idea. You could be married to a Chinese person here in the U.S., never travel to China, but it just does something to you.
Mm-hmm.
You could leave the US and go to another country and meet another Chinese person, and you feel like this is kindred. Yeah, he's or she is my kindred.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And you didn't
relatable.
teach yourself that. It just comes with the marriage, and you're able to respect them. They don't have to do anything for you to respect them.
My mind went so far because now that brings me into, a whole nother topic. But okay, so the topic is things we love about our in-laws. So let's get
Let's
a
stick
little
with that.
more
Yeah.
specific into that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, well, one of the things I really appreciate about my parents-in-law, well, my in-laws generally, but um is that I was welcomed into the family with open arms, without a lot of judgment as to who I am, where I come from, or what kind of wife I may or may not be. And it means a lot, particularly if you know how it is that we got married, because
Yeah.
we got married in China, away from both of our families.
Hmm.
And I mean, they had a lot of reason to maybe doubt, what kind of wife I was or whatever. I did meet them once before I got married. I went with my mom and my sister to his parents' house, and I had an opportunity to meet them. He did not have an opportunity to meet my parents before we got married, but thank God both of us have reasonable parents. And
Yeah.
um, I got treated with plenty of respect, with a lot of respect. And that's something that I love my in-laws for. And Thomas gave me like a little backstory concerning his mom, and to give a little
Yeah.
background too about like, um, this is a stereotype to be clear, but like my mom likes to watch a lot of African movies, for example, which a lot of them come out of Nigeria / West Africa. So she'll see these movies, and in a lot of them, the mother-in-laws are so wicked to their daughters-in-law and doing all kind of nonsense. So
Overstepping their bounds.
yeah, but we know that sometimes it is the case though
Yeah.
that even if they're not like trying to do witchcraft on their daughters-in-law to, get them not to marry their sons or whatever, anything that ridiculous. But sometimes
Yeah.
they are kind of like overly forceful in trying to get a daughter-in-law, particularly in an
Especially.
inter-race marriage. We're both Black, but from two different countries, from two different tribes or whatever, intercultural
Yeah.
marriage.
Cross cultural.
Cross culture, thank you. You'd see where, parents-in-law may try to dominate, the
Especially in
marriage with
childbirth.
their culture, with their cultural rules and norms and etc.
Yeah.
But I did not receive any of that. And the backstory, well, I think Thomas just has kind parents, first of all. But then also, Thomas's mother was treated exceptionally well by his father's mother, so by her mother-in-law. and they were able to have, a good relationship and a loving relationship.
Hmm.
And because of the way that she was treated, she felt as though I could never treat a daughter-in-law of mine any less than what
Less
I
than
was
what I
treated.
received.
Yeah. So she was very much kind to me, and yeah, respectful to me in spite of, differences that may, I mean, let's be honest. I'm not speaking for your mom, but generally, like an African mother might feel disappointed that her son is about to marry someone who can't cook African food, or who maybe can't cook too well at all, or who's not gonna do like a traditional wedding, or is not gonna do some traditional rites around childbirth and, a naming ceremony and all this kind
Yeah.
of, a lot of the cultural things that come with,
Right.
yeah, I mean, it's normal to maybe feel disappointed, but I never received any ill, feelings or anything, remarks.
Thanks, Mom.
Thank you. Love you.
Yeah. My mom always told me that um she got good treatment from my grandmother. I was gonna say my mother-in-law. From my grandmother because um well, for no reason. She just enjoyed how she treated her. So she considered that a generational blessing, and she didn't want to cut it short. So even before I met Marcy, before we got married, we always talked about it. And she would say, you know what, I'm willing to respect whoever you bring home. I I don't think I even have the moral right to not respect your wife because I've been treated so well by my mother-in-law and my husband's family, and I owe it to your wife. Um, and so that's all I'm going to give. So she came from a very intentional position. And so it made it easier for her to understand. But I could say the same for your mom as well.
in,
Yeah.
in her case, I have no clue how my dad's parents treated her.
Oh, on your mom's side, you mean?
Yeah, I don't
Into
know
your
all the
dad's family?
details. Yes. So I would say in her case, I know you're going to, you have to speak from your experience, but as far as like a background to maybe her way of thinking, I would credit it to being a godly woman. My mom, I
Mm,
mean, and Thomas's mom is too. So I think it's just the God in her. She's a
yeah.
good Christian, and the Holy Spirit has given her the ability, to be wise, and it's just wise. I think she's treated her in laws with, wise treatment.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't,
Lots of, I would say, discernment.
yeah, it's not
Yeah.
beneficial to treat your in-laws,
Yeah.
anything less but with love and respect, because in the end that's just going to strain relationships and stuff. If you care about your kids,
Right.
I mean, the wise thing to do is to treat them with respect, even if you have legitimate concerns about, the person for whatever reason, because
Hmm.
at the end of the day you don't get to choose. So if your child decides to marry somebody, even if that's not your favorite choice for them or whatever, it's in your best
Yeah.
interest to treat them well.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's just the wisdom that God gave her. She wouldn't, treat her children in law anything less than with love and respect. That's the love of God in her.
Yeah. Well, I could say the same for your mom. Before we even met, she sent me a card. And it
Good
had a
memory.
very nice message written in it. She got me a gift along with the card, and I was surprised. We had never met, but she did all that for me too. So that was like the beginning of our relationship, and she already, giving gifts. The Bible says a man's gift um, paves way for him. I forget how Proverbs says it, but it establishes relationship. We
Mm.
see it between David and Jonathan. When a gift goes before relationship, it shows that a relationship is, you know, on its way to be strong or stronger.
I'll find that passage.
And the David and Jonathan passage.
About giving gifts.
Oh yeah, right. So I
That's a
I
good
was
one.
very happy. I was because I also had a lot of thoughts, but for some reason I was very um rested. I wasn't complacent, but I had a lot of peace within myself about your family. And I think you can also say the same thing. There was no turmoil around it. It was very peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
I started speaking to your mom on the phone when we were in China. And interestingly, when we first came here, when I first met her, I remember the night we arrived. The first words she said were um, "It doesn't feel like we don't know each other. I feel like
Mm.
I've known you for years. Like I'm talking to you now, and I don't feel like we don't know each other. It's strange." That's what she said. And that made me very happy that night. And we talked. Even before we came here, we talked a lot on the phone, and I established a relationship with her before we met each other in person. So that was really good. And I can go on and on and on and on. But it's just been very good. Your dad, wonderful. I spoke with him a few times on the phone as well. But when I came here, when we started living here in the States, it was very easy to build on that relationship with him. It's easy for me to go and talk with him. I took rides with him. He likes to drive out to take care of a few things that he cares about sometimes. And I happily go out with him. I never felt like I'm going to be in the car alone with my father in law. Yikes. What am I going to say? What am I going to do? It was very natural. I was never under any pressure. I just went out with him. We talked about a lot of things. We talk about the church. We talk about a little politics. We talk about Haiti. We talk about um, houses, life in America, work. He gave me a lot of advice how to start out, where to work. And he always um, sort of gave me a lot of confidence. He would always encourage me. It's okay, just start, but keep going up, keep going up. A lot of people are lazy. Don't be lazy. Keep working hard. So there was just so much respect between us, and I don't even know how it happened, but we just bonded. I feel very um, okay. I felt very much at home with your parents. I never stood somewhere quietly to say, "Oh gosh, I don't know what I'm going to say." We sat and ate together. Same with your mom. I went to the store with your mom. We talked at length in the car about so many things. Till this day, um, it's just been good. I can go on and on, but it was just natural. Everything happened naturally.
Another thing I would add, things I love about my in-laws is like a little bit touched upon earlier, but not in a direct way. So I love that they are loving toward me, kind and respectful. I also love that they didn't put like heavy expectations on me. Like we were just,
Mm.
we alluded to, expectations that in-laws have sometimes. Yes, they did not burden me with trying to be some kind of traditionally, perfect,
Yeah.
daughter-in-law or something like that.
Hmm.
I think they could see the kind of person that I was. They could see my heart. They could see that I loved their son. They could see that I was God-fearing. They could see that I was trying my best. And I
Hmm.
feel like they accepted me, you know, and were able to look at the good things about me and accept me as a daughter-in-law. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, same for me. I remember your mom telling me that she only looks for, I was going to say two things, but actually, I think she said one thing, that you are God fearing. And she told me that. So when we came here, I started talking to her, and I wanted to sort of get how the process. was for her, not seeing me, your daughter getting married in China. And we talked about all of that. And she told me, once a man fears God, that's okay. If my child is with a God fearing person, I don't need to worry. But I would be worried if you were not God fearing. And she told me how she thinks if a person can respect God, then he can also easily respect his spouse or her spouse. And that really comforted my heart, and it made me um, understand her even more, and obviously respect her too. So, and she openly told me how she respected me. That also helped. So it was really emotional yet very natural. We hit the nail right on the head. We started having conversations about her experience, how she felt, and all throughout the process of getting married and all that. Excuse me. And that was good. The other thing that I learned, she didn't say this directly, but I came to learn that your parents had a lot of trust um, in you because
Mm,
they knew what kind of daughter they had raised up.
mm.
So it wasn't just that I was good, I was perfect.
That's true too.
Excuse me. It
Sorry. Also,
wasn't.
excuse me too.
It wasn't that I was good or perfect. Um, they liked me for who I am, but it's also that they had a lot of confidence in you
Yeah, and your
because
parents and you too.
yeah, right. Because they knew what kind of daughter they had raised. They knew, she's God fearing. She's not going to bring just any man um, home because we
Mm-hmm.
trust that she's going to choose well, and the man she brings home is going to be a good man. And that's why I think even from a distance, far away in China, they could trust you that, yep, we believe that she would make a good choice because she knows a lot and she fears a lot. And we know that we can trust what she's saying, basically, even with you telling them about me before, you know, I start talking to them or I started talking to them. You told them, oh, he's this, he's that, he's this, he's that. And they had to take your word for it. They had to trust you for everything you told them, not just your parents, but even your siblings.
Mm.
They had to believe you, and that takes a lot of trust. It takes a lot of
Side note.
confidence. So,
Did Melissa and Audrey meet you? Did Melissa and Audrey meet you after we got married or before?
no, that was before we got married.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm.
So, yeah, that's the other side that
And did we
sort of
meet Fred?
brings in the
Oh,
balance.
before we got married?
After no, after we got married.
Oh,
When we
okay.
met Fred, we were already married.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right. Fred
Iron
is
out the
my
details.
brother-in-law. So my sister also got married, and I didn't get a chance to meet my brother-in-law. Um, so similarly, my sister didn't meet my wife, her sister-in-law. So we both shared that. Um, yeah. So back to what I was saying, I think those two work together. Um, your family's trust in you and confidence in you being able to be responsible about who you choose to marry, and then that together with the fact that um, they had a conviction. Your mom told me she had a conviction. I think she could discern that this guy is a good guy. I think I trust God for who you are, and I also trust my daughter. And those two really make for um, great pieces of information to make a decision.
Mm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to add anything as far as things we love about our in-laws?
I So a lot of the things I've said have been very descriptive and not really what I love about your parents or your family.
Yeah. Yeah. You're spot on.
I right. I like your dad's care and gentleness. Your dad is very gentle. He he's very compassionate. He cares about people. I see him give his time and a lot of things to people, and I think he treats me the same way. He really cares about. He tells me, talk to me. You can talk to me if anything is wrong. If you need help, just tell me. Don't worry, just tell me. Um, and he's always, willing to help.
Mm.
And I like that. He's very generous. And your mom too. She's very generous.
Mhm.
Your mom cannot cook for, just two or three people. She's got a big heart and a big hand. And you can tell by the size of her cooking pans and pots. She just
I don't know.
loves to
I think our
shower people.
parents are kindred because I'm hearing you say all this. I'm like, who's generous? I mean, I know my mom is generous, but then I think about like from even before, we had a chance to go home to our parents. His mom was sending us boxes regularly all the way to
Oh yeah,
China.
in China.
His parents were sending us things to make us feel, a touch of home.
Yeah.
And then when they came to visit, even when people come to visit
Oh
us, they
boy.
send things with them, like bunch of things more than we can
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
use. Man, yeah, the
You're
generosity
right.
has been
They're very
much.
similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. And your mom, she is very friendly. It's very easy to, talk to your mom. She's humble, very humble. She comes down to your level to talk to you. She doesn't, obviously she's my mother-in-law and there are boundaries, but she's very welcoming. Maybe that's the word I want to use. She she gives you the space to come close. She doesn't make it difficult for me to get close to her and talk to her. And that helps. That's what you want when you want to build a relationship. So I didn't have to like crack a code or try to warm up and try to get her to like me. No, she just gave me the room. Like, we can talk.
Mm.
You don't have to feel like, you're not home. This is home for you. And that helped. So I like that about your mom. And in greater extension, your whole family. I mean, your extended family, your aunts. I go to Aunt Suzette's house, and I don't feel like I'm not home. I feel like there are some places you go, you can't even say I'm thirsty.
Mm.
That it's you're so tensed. You just want to pass the time and just get out and just mark it that okay, I was able to go there.
Mhm.
But when I go there, I feel like I I'm home. If I'm thirsty, I can ask for water. I matter of fact, I like eating from Aunt Suzette's house, and
You
I
know,
just say I'm hungry. Auntie, have you got anything? And that is beautiful. Um, Same for Aunt Denny's, your cousins, Joe. I can vibe with Joe without any problem. Same with Jessica. I can just go on and on and on. And particularly your siblings. I mean, we've been having a Bible study for the past 2 years. To
Mhm.
Audrey, Melissa, especially, and they were the first um, um, siblings, really first family I met because they came to China
Mm.
to see us, and I got a chance to spend time with them, and we talked about a lot of things. So that really helped. I think I feel closer to them than the other siblings, but it doesn't take away from the fact that I can, talk with Ricky. I can give Ricky a call and talk to him about anything that's on my mind. Same with Andrew and his family. Christina, everyone. Yeah, the family's
You
just,
name names, you start getting in trouble because you forget
I
names.
know. Yeah,
But
but it's just great. It just goes to show how loving your family is. Don't tell my mom this, but I said this at Aunt Suzette's birthday party. But I don't miss home. I don't feel like I haven't seen my parents in a long time. I miss home because I feel really I feel very much at home here. You know, so that's good. And your family's all around. You've got a bigger family than I have, so it's really good. I don't feel like I'm all alone here on an island and I don't know anybody. I feel very much at home, and it's great. It's beautiful.
Mhm. um same for this is I'm going to bring it to God because one of the things we want to do is, record testimonies. I feel it's a testimony,
It
the
really
fact
is.
that yeah, we have loving in-law relationships. It's a testament to the power of God at work in the lives of men,
Yeah,
because everything you're saying is because of the power of God at work in our lives, in our parents' lives. Like your parents too, when we go to Virginia, all their friends are so generous to us. All their family, like all the extended family members and everyone who we've met, it's the same thing.
Yeah,
It's the same thing. We just receive nothing but
that's true.
love and kindness. And so even the people that our parents associate with, we just don't
Mm-hmm.
encounter problems. Like we
Yeah.
just don't, And not to mention your sister as well, like also not like, the nightmare in-law or
Sister-in-law.
whatever. No, she's like the exact opposite. She's so chill. She's so understanding. She's so gracious. And her whole family, like, it was just so nice for us all to be together. Like, it just worked. It didn't
Yeah,
take a lot of effort. We could just be.
it really worked.
Yeah, and I genuinely enjoyed have enjoyed spending every time that I could spend and that I have spent with your
Mm-hmm.
family.
Yeah.
So it's just when I think about it, I know some people, like I was watching and this will lead us maybe into a different aspect of the conversation, but I was watching a podcast where a mother-in-law and a daughter-in-law were talking about in-law relationships. And I was listening to how the mother-in-law was saying about not wanting to overstep boundaries and wanting to, just be super
That's good.
understanding, and a lot of things that like they almost sounded too ideal. They almost lacked relatability. So I recognize that for some people, this may also lack a level of relatability, but I want to bring it to God to say like, or bring it back to God to say like, this is what God does in our lives. Like,
Mm-hmm. It's
invite God into
marvelous.
your life, and He's just gonna improve every single aspect of your life, every single aspect, in all your relationships and everything. He's just gonna just transform your whole life,
Yeah.
And so our relationships are not perfect, but they are really good. And it's because
Yeah.
of God at work. Yeah, God
Yeah.
at work. But
Absolutely. Yeah. It's the little things that money cannot buy. The little things that we don't sometimes cherish. You could have a very successful marriage and your relationship with your in-laws could be terrible. It's going to affect your peace, like it or not. You're going to go ballistic anytime you have to meet your, your in-laws, and you are going to have to meet them because they are living, and your wife has got a family, your husband has got a family. They would want to see their family. And can you imagine living like that for the rest of your life? That's like, I don't want to use the word hell, but it's going to be difficult. So it's the little things that we don't sometimes cherish or consider in our marriage, but God is able to take care of for us. And it's beautiful when you're able to have in-laws that you can. Um, I just remember this. I was talking to my coworker. Sorry, I'm cutting this short, but I was talking to my coworker Charlie because him and I have been working very well, and I was just commending him that he's been very easy to work with, and I think that's one of the underrated um, or underestimated qualities, being easy to work with. When someone is easy to work with, we can talk about their skills and how good they are about doing tasks, but if they are difficult to work with, it's going to be really difficult. You will not enjoy your work. But when you're working with someone who is easy to work with, you can easily talk with them, you can easily reason together, you feel like that's a partner. And we should bless God for little things like that. And really, they are not small because they can make or break a marriage. And we have God to thank for this, especially given the circumstances within which we got married. People really um, have showed us love. And I think people have looked at us through the lens of love. And it's God's doing, you know. Yeah.
Okay, a little, exhortations about So what, like referring to or going back to what I was saying about the other podcast I was listening to, I think they
Yeah.
mentioned a lot of things that were like idealistic, which are true for them because they're, I would say, at another level even of Christianity, if I could say that.
Hmm.
I mean, it's aspirational. Like when I
Okay.
look at the way they rear their children, it lets me know that they, although they have strong cultural values, the primary culture that they hold is a Christian one,
Hmm.
which both of us coming from non-American families, I mean, I don't know if that matters, but like culture is really strong. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
hard for people to remove culture from like their country's culture or whatever aspects of
Yeah.
culture
I think I
from
understand what
like,
you're saying now.
yeah, from their way of thinking or behaving,
Hmm.
even when it clashes with Christian culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that making sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So I think I have seen on both of our sides of the family, I can say more on my side because I know my family better, I have seen where cultural things can sometimes threaten to um, influence.
Behavior.
Yeah, and then in a way that negatively impacts, in-law relationships, I would say. So if I could give um advice,
Hmm.
exhortation, to make myself clear, let me give examples. Like um respecting respecting marriage, the marriage that your child has with their spouse.
Hmm.
I think we all know, theoretically to do that. But then there's a sense in which parents will still try to kind of like hover and influence the happenings of a marriage. There are in-laws, parents-in-law who will be kind of like over to the side talking to their own child, trying to like manipulate the decisions within the
Get them to
marriage.
do things.
Yeah, get them to do things. Exactly. Like that kind of behavior has no place in in-law relationships. It's not healthy for your
Doesn't
in-law
help. Yeah.
relationships. Yes. And what I would say too, of course, parents-in-law, don't do that to your kids. Respect your kids' marriage, but also those of you, children who are in the marriage, it be in agreement, in strong agreement with one another as husband and wife, and defend each other before
Yeah.
each other's parents, and just walk in unity, because that I think helps like mitigate a lot of potential issues. So I'm always, you
Alert.
know, yes, very vigilant. And if there's a problem, like I always try to manage, yeah, like if
Yeah.
there would be anything that would threaten his place in our marriage, and people, they don't do it intentionally, but I'm always like, okay, I have to talk to Thomas about it. It's me and Thomas, Thomas,
Mhm.
Thomas, Thomas. Like we are
Yeah.
in the marriage, So just for example, yeah.
Yeah. I think when it comes to dealing with in-laws, and really not just in-laws, dealing with people as it relates to your marriage, it's just it's all about communicating values. You are communicating your values based on how you're talking to your mom about your marriage or about your spouse, or how you're talking to your siblings, or how you're talking to your dad, whoever it is in your family, even your friends. The things you're saying to them about your marriage
Mm,
are communicating your own values.
mm,
So you're either bringing them to a place where they understand your values and are willing to respect you because they get it. They understand your values clearly. And so they are willing to respect those and respect your boundaries. Or you're undermining your own values, which equals to you're undermining your own boundaries. You can't go, based on how you talk to your parents, You can't talk about your wife anyway to your parents and
Hmm.
expect them to come to your home and do the opposite of the
What you
character that you
did.
portrayed.
Yeah.
So it's about, and marriage is also about sharing honor. You have to share honor and protect honor. You protect your wife's honor and dignity. She protects her husband's um, honor and dignity. That's what it's about. It doesn't mean you have to lie. It doesn't mean you don't have to get help. It means you have to walk circumspectly. Like you can't just communicate anything anyhow. And you have to be always thinking about the other person because marriage is, it has more than one stakeholder. It could be about the kids. For the sake of the children, maybe I would not like to have something happen. So it's all about just watching your values and serving your values to people to say, hey, mom, I care about you asking this question, but I can't talk about this without Marcy being present here. How about the next time we visit, you can talk to both of us about this? I'm not going to talk to you alone here about something that has to do with both of us and maybe our kids. Why don't we all talk? You can talk to us. We are your children if you want to talk to us. And maybe in some cases, it's just a no. Like, I'm not willing to talk to you about this. We are okay. We trust us to handle this. Of course, it depends on how you communicate that. But to add to what you said, it's about communicating your values. And when people come to understand that, they are going to respect you for who you are. Sometimes it takes, time for them to understand. They might keep coming, but as many times as they come, you also keep showing them your values that I don't really care about this. I don't really like this. This is what we care about. This is what we are doing. This is what, so it's kind of like schooling people to understand the way that you're building your family.
Hmm. Yep. So, and you use the word boundaries. So I'm going to reiterate that. I don't know. We may do a whole episode on it in the near future.
Yeah.
But yes, parents, in-law slash in-laws generally respect boundaries. And also those who are in the marriage, set boundaries. Set boundaries with your
Very
parents.
important.
Yes, set boundaries with your parents. And preferably, as much as possible, you handle your family and I handle mine.
That is very crucial,
Don't
especially
put
for
us in
men.
awkward positions to deal with each other's
Oh boy.
parents
Please,
on,
please.
awkward matters.
Especially if you're a man.
Mm,
Don't let your wife handle your parents.
mm,
Don't let your wife deal with her mother-in-law. It's just going to turn into chaos. You go talk to your mom. Go meet your mom. Let her know about what you two discussed. But bear in mind, it's going to be you taking the lead. It must not be my wife doesn't like that you no, it's like I don't like that you talk to my
mm,
wife this way. It's not that my wife and I, Marcy and I talked and she's not happy with how you talk to her. No. Marcy told me you had this conversation with her. And I don't like you to talk to her like that, mommy. She said that you said this and that. Can you please not talk to her like that? It breaks my heart. Like, take it upon yourself. Don't sort of match your mom and your wife, especially your mom and your wife. Don't match them and have
mm.
them stand in the ring and see who's gonna come out strong or who's gonna win. Like, don't put that pressure on your wife. You go take it and go talk to your mom because you don't like your wife feeling sad. Take it from that angle. Even if your mom thinks, oh, she's the one telling you to come say this, roll
So
with
be
it.
it.
Like, so be it. Like, no, I care about her. I don't want you to not, live peaceably. And don't never let it be on your wife. That's the point. Don't leave it to your wife to go deal with your mother-in-law. And then your mom, and your mom will come tell you that, hey, your wife came to talk to me about this. Do you know about this? Did she talk to you about it? No, that's the reverse angle. Like, let it be that you and your wife will talk, and you tell your wife, let me handle this. If there needs to be a boundary, you build that boundary. Don't let it be that your wife says, can you not come to my kitchen? Can you not come to can you not come do this? Can you not come do that? That's just too much. You take it and try to restore whatever is destroyed within them, and you be the middle person.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's more respectful. It saves your wife from a lot of trouble. We haven't had to deal with that, but you see it in movies. You see it in I know people who've been through that. Thank God we don't deal with that kind of drama. But anytime I see that, it breaks my heart that the woman sometimes is left to deal with the mother-in-law. It's just not nice. I think the man should be responsible for building a boundary on his side and on her side too. She has to talk to her parents
Mm-hmm.
to build a boundary. I don't have to
Mm-hmm.
go talk to my father-in-law and my mother-in-law just
Mm-hmm.
because we have a good relationship and I think she will listen. I don't have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and even if I have to, or even if she has to, it has to be with great tact.
Mm-hmm.
The best way is not to do it and let your spouse deal with their own family.
Pretty much, yep. Yeah, a lot of things will come up. It's particularly, gender things. Like if you're a woman, oh, like you're not serving my son, like, and it's for you, even if you like it. Right, Thomas, if you like it, which he doesn't, by the way, for example, though, if you like to be served, but I don't serve you, you don't in front of your mother-in-law say, yeah, you're right. She should be serving me. I don't know why she's not serving me. You
That's
just
a
act like
no-no.
everything is okay. I like, this is how we usually do it, and I'm okay with it. I don't have a problem with it, mommy. You
Right.
don't have to give her stress about that. That's not important to me,
Yeah. You
And
want to
then
hear
you
a
go home and
story?
talk about it if it's actually a problem, but
You want
or
to hear?
something like that. Uh-huh.
There's an old story I learned. I forget where I learned it from. But there's a story that about a man who invited his friends, his work colleagues, to come home to eat. They watched the soccer game, and after that, they ate, and the wife had prepared food for them, and the food for some reason was extra salty.
Mm.
So, and he had bragged to his friends about how good his wife was when it comes to cooking. And there they sat and they tasted the food and were like, what in the world is this? Is that what you eat every day? And the man pretended and covered for his wife. You know what he told his friends? Oh, you guys don't know. I can't stop eating salt. Like, I'm so sorry. I should have told my wife to not put too much salt in it. I was like, I love salt. I cannot eat without salt. And she did it exactly how I wanted it. I'm sorry. The next time you come, I'm gonna talk to her about it. But she probably thought you guys were my friends and you also like salt. But and he called his wife, Annie, can I get more salt, please? Like, God, you guys think this is salty? Wait until you taste this. And he added more salt to it to show them, I love salt, guys. I'm sorry, but this is not even salty enough. And he went on to eat the food with a smiley face.
Oh no.
And then the friends left and he shouted, come here right now. What did you do to me? And he just sorted it out with his wife. But the moral of the story is he covered his wife's honor. He, in his friend's eyes, this guy loves salt. You're gonna die very soon. You can't be eating salt like that. In their eyes, he's the one who likes salt, and he is making his wife a bad cook. But when they left, like, you killed me today. Like, yeah, this was too salty.
A very exaggerated example, but you get the point. That's funny. That sounds like something out of a movie.
Yeah,
So
right.
yeah, then men have their traditional roles too, right? Like men are typically seen as providers. Maybe
Yeah,
if parents think their daughter is living in less than favorable conditions, don't go berate your husband to your parents like, "Oh yeah, and I wish he made more money." And da, da, da. No, I
yeah,
love the humble way that we're living. We prefer to live this way. We could buy a house right now, but we really prefer to take things step by step, pay off our debt before I buy a house or whatever,
yeah,
whatever the case is. But you present before them that you are in agreement with how you guys are
right.
living. There's no thing like, oh, he's making me live in this condition and da, 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 da. No, there's nothing like that. You guys
Yeah,
are in agreement. You're walking together. So,
yeah.
and plenty of other examples. When it comes to the kids, it's another thing. You have kids, they want to have a say so about the kids, and you have to defend, this is a decision we made together as parents, etc., etc.
So true. I
Yeah.
always remember that in marriage, you start with the victory. In marriage, you start with the trophy. The rest is fighting to protect that trophy. And this is what I mean. When you marry, you're one. The rest of your life, you're going to fight to protect that oneness. So things are going to come in to sort of test that oneness. So always present that trophy to people.
A
We are
unified
one.
front.
We're unified. We started with this. And God is so wise that He begins married couples with that. So really what we are doing is playing defense. We're defending the victory that we have. We are one. That's how everyone starts. Nobody goes into marriage fighting. They don't. Marriage doesn't begin with um, no peace, no love, no care. There would not be any marriage. It begins with peace, love, quietness, respect, care for each other. And then as you move on, what happens? Sometimes we see that all those things deplete because things are warring against those things. So always keep in mind that you're not rushing to any destination to win anything. You have what you've won already, and keep that tight. So you present that to people. Hey, that's our trophy. If you don't know, that's what we started with. We are together. We are one. We love each other. We're working on this together. We protect each other. We are each other's keeper. That's what we are. And if you can do that consistently, the marriage is going to thrive. Not because you're doing anything extraordinary, not because you are the best spouse in the world, but because you've learned to guard your victory, the victory that you started with.
And that honor carries out on or carries on to other relationships besides your own, like even if you have a family member who's maybe married to somebody,
Mm-hmm.
other people are coming to you saying, "Oh, but don't you think that person's like this? Or don't you think that?"
The naysayers.
Yes, the naysayers. Defend your family
Yeah.
because that person is your family now. Once you're whoever, your cousin, your child, your sibling marries somebody, marriage is a covenant
Mm-hmm.
and it's supposed to be, it ought to be till death do you part.
Yep.
So you are always rooting for marriages. So if they're married, you're rooting for them, you're supporting them before others. You are, interested in seeing the best outcome for them. You're not,
Mm-hmm.
waiting for their demise. So always present that
Yeah.
you respect, you respect
And
people.
protect people's honor. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Mm-hmm. This has been another episode. Do we have takeaways? Okay, I guess
on
those
that
were the
note,
takeaways.
that
Yeah.
was my takeaway.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was my takeaway.
Okay. Yeah,
So
I suppose we've exhausted this
we won,
topic for now.
and we're going to always be one.
Amen.
That's all we are. On that note, we'll catch you on the next episode, which is likely to be about boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
So stay tuned. Stay safe. We love you.